Well, I did it. I had to say something, didn't I? I came out here last month, and I was like, hey guys, I think we turned the corner, and I've got all kinds of good news, and I was so pumped to do it. But remember when last month I said we were Paula Abduling it, 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Well, it ain't fiction, it's an actual fact. Unfortunately, this seems to be the step back month. It's not all bad news. I've got a mixture of things today. We're gonna talk about some supply chain stuff because the shortages are back, and they are back with a vengeance, and nobody's liking it. It's not just material shortages, though. We're gonna dive into that a little bit. A little bit of pricing update news for you. Build lead time availability and a couple other odds and ends. And oh yeah, by the way, hi. I'm Josh the RV Nerd. This is your October industry update as seen from our little family-owned dealership. And in case you're wondering, no, it's not really that cold. I'm just feeling kind of fat today and thought I'd cover up my pandemic poundage. But I did get on the treadmill for the first time in about a month last night, although it was actually only to find the jacket that I wanted to wear today. More to the point, anybody else relate to that? Couple things. What's going on here? So supply chains, material things. It seems like, especially recently, it's like almost every day. It's like there's another foreign export port, point of exit for materials and goods that has been shutting down largely due to COVID. And that has really put a crunch on various container systems. Like, to give you guys an idea, I have some people who feed me some information on this, and one of them specifically deals with import-export, and said, last year, this time of year, it cost about $4,000 for a container. Now, add up how many containers are on those ships. And by the way, there are currently a record number of container ships sitting off of our coasts right now with stuff that we need, not just for the RV industry, but for all sorts of walks of life, that are just basically effectively held in quarantine. That same container that used to cost $4,000 is currently costing about $30,000. Now do the math on how many containers are on those ships and a record number of ships sitting off seas, and you see how the cost of everything has gotten a little bit out of control. One of the other things that's really been a major shortage that we haven't discussed a great deal is labor shortages. And that is something that has been plaguing us for a while, but it seems like recently here it's really, really come to a head. And it's like you try to go to a restaurant and they're short. The manufacturers, though, whether it's supply side manufacturers, RV manufacturers, they have especially recently just been reporting just rampant troubles with labor and getting people to work and are the same people going to show up next Monday kind of thing. That's led to a bunch of various challenges, and it seems like it's pocketed, it's hit and miss, but it has really caused a number of issues. So it's not just getting materials. There's actually been cases where labor shortages have really plagued certain suppliers. Like one of the brands that we carry here at Haylett RV, they recently reported a shortage of ladders, not because the supplier didn't have the parts, which is kind of the first thing that we've been thinking of. The sun is bright, but they don't have the people to assemble them. They have all the stuff, they just can't get people to put them together. So it's weird to me how none of these challenges that we're facing right now really are necessarily new. It's just they've all become so severe, and they're all overlapping and all hitting at the exact same time. That's the thing that is just so crazy, and how prolonged of an overlap period we've been seeing. And that labor challenge is something we've really started to feel here at Haylett RV. We had very limited inventory through the summer, so a couple of our sales staff members got a little spooked by that, and several of them moved on. In an effort to try to take care of the families that we were still employing here, we left several seats open in both sales and service, and it's meant that everybody has taken on a bigger load. And it's part of the reason if I don't seem like my normal plucky-go-lucky self, it's because I'm super strung out and stretched thin myself right now. Been doing everything that, I can. Everyone here's been doing everything they can to try to make all the ends meet. But there's only so many hours in the day, and when there's fewer hands, it means that you tend to put a few more hours into this. Like a couple people have noticed I've been even logging into my computer remotely on Sundays just to help try to keep some video content coming out because I can't keep up with it during the working hours where everyone's helping everybody else do everything else. So as we've gotten more in stock, more things are starting to come in. We are starting to rebuild some inventory here still, which is excellent. But it has meant that we're going to need more staff to take care of more customers, obviously. And trying to get people has been just an astronomical challenge. I totally feel the suppliers and the manufacturers, what they're going through. And I mean, we spend, managers spend all this time, putting out the ads and interviewing and then, going through the paperwork and yeah, that's great. We'll see you Monday. And then they never show. It's just like every 10 people say, yeah, I'll take the job. One shows up, it's so weird right now. Sorry, got on a little bit of a soapbox there, but that's what's happening, So on some material related things, there's suddenly been a real nasty shortage of MDF, which chipboard, OSB basically. And that is something that could really affect the RV industry. That stuff is used in those sealed edge countertops, it's used in roofing, it's used in some floors, it's used all over the place, not to mention just housing and furniture and all these other industries. One of our guys that works here, he is like looking for an apartment right now, and he finally found a place, and he's like, I try to go to furniture stores. They don't have nothing, I just wanted a recliner. So he says, I guess I'll just keep my grandpa's old orange flower print recliner, which has got to be the recliner that when you were sick as a kid, you stayed home from school, you drank Sprite, ate crackers, and watched Bob Barker on The Price is Right from that thing. But I bet you that is probably the most comfortable recliner ever known to man. Some other things, glass fiber, nylon, what else? There was one other material thing I was trying to think to remember plastics. So there have been a number of things, like when the polar vortices or vortex or whatever there hit and took out like chemical plants and stuff like that. There be a lot of manufacturers, a lot of suppliers. They have these contracts with, say, like RV manufacturers to say, okay, we can commit to sending you this many things so that the manufacturers can make their plans. Well, a lot of them have really had to claim force majeure this year. And my French viewers, if I'm murdering that phrase, apologies. Remember, I am just but a simple Midwestern boy. A lot of folks around here just call it force majeure. And if you're not aware of that, basically it's where a supplier kind of claims an act of God has forced us into a situation where we cannot honor our contracts. It's really one of the most common closing clauses in a lot of various contracts. Mother Nature dealt me a crap hand, so I'm sorry, I can't do the thing that I promised you I would do. But like I said, glass fiber, which is the kind of stuff that is used in like fiberglass nose caps, which is why you've seen like a lot of luxury fifth wheels or even a lot of travel trailers that normally had front and or rear nose caps, missing them lately. There's nylon material that's used in a lot of electronics, plastics that are used on things like air conditioner covers and propane tank covers. Those things have been in shortage. A lot of those things, though, especially like Hurricane Ida was a real X factor because some of the chemical plants that were up and running had to close down. The plants that made some of those things. They are back up and running. A lot of these factories, though, they take a while to get back up to full production. And because of the backlog of time that has been incurred from the downtime, they're getting through it. A lot of the supply chain sources that I have been saying, roughly by the end of October, we'll see ourselves back up to full production. But because of our backlog, we don't think we'll be normalized until roughly the flip of the calendar year. So a lot of things are getting better, and I think through the in the Midwest anyway, what we call the snowflake months, I think that we'll see a lot of things resolve, and my hope is that really moving into the 2022 calendar year, we'll really be able to see the first true level of normalcy in this industry at least, that we've seen in about 2 years. Man, that sounds good. And a lot of the focus goes on these big things, but frankly, there's all kinds of annoyances and frustrations on a daily basis. Just the simplest things, like roof vent covers, like toilets, like propane and plumbing fittings, stuff like that. Those, they're not worth their weight in gold. Gold is worth its weight in Rhinoflex sewer hoses right now. But here's actually the very interesting thing. Despite all of this rough stuff that I've shared here, it's not all bad news. Frankly, the industry and a lot of industries right now are in a world of better shape than where they were, say, last year. And I don't know how good of a view you're getting from behind me here, but as you're seeing, things are beginning to recover from like a stocking standpoint. Some dealerships had themselves pretty thick in inventory for one reason or another most of the year. A lot of dealerships did not. Nationally, the total amount of available inventory was way, way, way down. But dealerships like us that have been basically running on fumes, we are finally beginning to see some recovery. This is the first time I've really looked up, and we have like 3 or 4 full rows of trailers out here in one of our 3 sections. So I mean, not to mention the fact that we have a huge overflow trailer storage place across the street that's 4 acres large that's been sitting. Our overflow place that's usually just covered in campers, our biggest problem with that is that we can't keep the weeds from growing because it's just all empty lot. But we are step by step, ooh baby, starting to get back into that. And I bet you didn't expect to get a New Kids on the Block reference today. Frankly, I don't know that I expected to be giving one either. So what do we think inventories are going to look like? We'll continue to see through those quieter snowflake months a lot of already ordered personal build stuff rolling in, but I think we're going to see more stock stuff finally starting to roll in as well. Talking to other dealers that I know, though, doing these videos, sometimes I have agents and like principals of other dealerships, which would be like owners, managers, stuff like that, contact me privately, candidly, you know, not wanting to put themselves in a compromising position, say what they're seeing in their area. And what I'm hearing a lot of, and it kind of lines up with a little bit of what we were internally predicting at Haylett RV, is we will see almost what I predicted a year ago potentially kind of coming true, which I guess I wasn't wrong. I was ahead of my time. Sure, we'll go with that. My wife would just say I was wrong, though, and she would be correct. But we will expect reduced below normal levels of inventory stocking through the 22 calendar year, approaching a more normal level of stocking roughly, say, by the end of the 22 calendar year. So dealer inventories, I'm thinking, are going to see a little bit of a recovery period over this next year. And frankly, even if we were just at 50% capacity versus like literally a 1.1 or 2% capacity, that would just be an absolute godsend right there. And I think more people would be more comfortable getting to the chance to get to see things in person, not just buying from a catalog, not just buying sight unseen. Some other interesting signs of recovery I've sort of noticed, though. We have actually seen the lead times for orders on RVs begin to level off, taper off. It seems like for the last couple months, I've had the same update. It's going to be about 6 months, guys. And then all of a sudden here, I've noticed the last handful of custom ordered Montanas, like even a full body paint, super solar, crazy package thing like this with all of the options tricked out, they've been coming in sub 120 days, which is significantly less than what we were originally predicting. Pleasantly so. Now, there's still certain things that have put a little, gum in the works, depending, like generators. Owning generators have become very scarce this year. That is one of those things. Normally on a lot of the really big high-end fifth wheels, and especially toy haulers, the big toy haulers, we like to put those generators in there just to give you that freedom, that luxury, you know. And This year we've had to do a lot of generator prep and rely on a lot of, say, like external portable little inverter generators, which have also been very hard to come by. It's just been one of those hiccup challenges that we've been working through this year. But I have seen where some manufacturers' lead times have finally begun to taper off, and still 120 days, 4 months, that's still a pretty chunk. I mean, that's a pretty chunky amount of time right there. But it's better than saying 6 to 9 months to, I don't know, you'll get it when you get it. And as terrible as that sounds, that was truly the best expectation that we could set for people for most of this year. When can I get just a common gray wolf? I don't know. You get it when you get it. That was literally the only answer that we could truly rely on. And that sucks. So I'm really glad to see that turn around just a little bit. It's going to vary a little bit by brand. Like I see a Rockwood behind me right here. Rockwood has always been known for having longer lead times, but it's because it's the single most popular ultralight out there. They have, despite having 5 build facilities, there's no way they can keep up with everything. And again, all credit to them despite all of that. And there's always going to be an exception here and there, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. They have done about the best job of anyone I've seen of putting a good product on our lot here. And just tip of the hat, to Rockwood out there. Keep up that good work you've been doing. And the reason I think this is important to hit on is we are kind of approaching that time of year where a lot of people said we didn't have the opportunity to find the one that we wanted this year, or we're just starting to think about it, But we're approaching potentially, some people would say, the end of the season. That will really vary depending on where you're at in the country, because there's absolutely those areas in the country where people are camping all year round and we're up here freezing our toes off going, I don't like your pictures on Facebook. Why do you got to tease me like that? Every time we have a wicked snowstorm up here, my parents will be down in Florida and shoot me a picture of their the weather report, and I just block them. I just mute them for like 8 hours because I don't need that negativity in my life. But if you're thinking getting into this like next year, with what I'm seeing on some lead times, say like middle of April is usually kind of, especially around here, considered roughly the start of the camping season. It means that you've got maybe an additional month or two of consideration time if you were considering putting in a personal build request. But again, I do see where inventory volumes seem to be slowly recovering. And, if you push that back a little bit, you may have more opportunities to see more things in person and potentially get yourself something picked out before the camping season begins next year that you actually get to review in person. So that works better for customers, that works better for dealerships, that works better for everybody. I'm really excited to get back to a more normalized look at things, and I'm really hoping the 22 calendar year brings that into us. And as predicted, it seems the race for solar supremacy is on. The solar arms race has begun. Keystone fired out their announcement of their SolarFlex platform this year, which is some really, really good stuff. If you're not familiar with that, just search SolarFlex on our channel. We have a totally different video dedicated to giving you an idea of what that is and also what each of the 4 different tier packages can do for you. But not to be outdone, Jayco said, we can do that. And they've announced an expansion of their Overlander solar package they're calling Overlander EXT. It's something that could be very, Jayco's already had a couple different solar packages. This is a new, max top high level thing that in theory on paper looks to potentially be a little bit comparable to, say, like the more advanced Keystone SolarFlex packages. And inevitably, every manufacturer believes that they've found a way to do it a little bit better than the next guy. So when I get to see a little bit more of that in person, I'll have some more information out for you. But I think this is really good news, because with something like 600,000 new RVers joining the RV community over this past year and only about 60,000 new campsites being created in that same time period, obviously finding a way to be able to get away from things and get away from people and camp off-grid a little bit, that is going to continue to be, I think, a bigger and bigger item. And I just ate a bug. Oh. I should probably edit this out. Not gonna. I also have it on good authority, although I don't have any official details on this yet. Rockwood is also creating a more advanced solar package. If it's following the trend of things they've done in previous years, it will probably start in something like the Geo Pros, which are a little bit smaller, a little more off-grid, and then become more available through the rest of their lineup. That's just a prediction. We'll see if that comes to pass. And I realized I said we'd talk about pricing updates, and then my squirrel brain went off in all these other little tangents and directions, and I didn't really get to any of that. Previous month, we actually saw little to no price increase from manufacturers. We have seen a pretty consistent about 2.5% to 3% price increase from manufacturers coming into this month. That is a trend I fear will potentially continue, although as things from the supply side normalize coming into the 22 calendar year, I'm hopeful. I have no reason to suspect this will happen, but I'm hopeful we'll see just a leveling off of costs for a while. And that I think is potentially the best that we could hope for right now, and that might be a pipe dream itself. So that's it for me this month, guys. That's your word from the nerd. If you appreciate giving you the look behind the scenes like this, whether it's good news or the tough stuff, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. At the very least, if you don't have anything to share, hit the little like button on the video. It doesn't cost you anything. It does help get the word out there, though. Feel free, please, to share this among your various social media groups. People who are maybe looking for an RV down the line might find some benefit here. And as always, big thank you to the folks that give me some kind of insights and information on this, most of which who have asked to remain anonymous because they don't want to put themselves in a compromising position. We don't mind putting ourselves out there a little bit. All we ask in return is just when you're ready, we'd love the chance to work with you. But short of that, we're going to keep all the stuff coming, whether, like I said, whether it's more insight-based like this, whether it's the recall reports that we've been doing, trying to keep people safe, all the things that we do for you here at Haylett RV. If you feel like you've been overloaded with information, I feel like we've done our job well. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy Haylett camping, everyone.